Hey, everybody, this is Great Cowboys 1964, and the Crimson Tide are going to put away the Oklahoma Sooners. Bill Carroll will be with me in a moment. Got to say, I'm shocked by this score 34-24. I had it 24-17 for Oklahoma. But Bama has played superbly tonight. What can you say? Nick Saban was the only one who was right on the telecast. He called Alabama, or no, sorry, Stratford Steve also won that. Stanford Steve also was correct. So yeah, we got the Alabama Crimson Tide beating the Oklahoma Sooners in Oklahoma. It was a shocker, to say the least, and I give Kalen DeBoer all the credit in the world because he got his guys playing some decent football tonight, especially the defense. I think they sacked Mateer 6 times. Nothing wrong with that. And that was without oh, there's Mr. Bill. We'll see what happens when he actually appears.
Oh. Oh,
yeah. Okay. Well, we'll give Bill a sec. Oh, there he is. There's Bill now. There he is. Hi, Bill.
Oh.
So, what did you make of this CFP playoff game?
I'll say, first of all, I think that the offenses on both sides outperformed my expectations.
Yeah, huge.
I thought this would be more of a old, like by old school, like 1978 old school version of football. But no, the offenses on both, for both sides showed up in a way that I thought they would be not able to do, not able to play at that level. I had been critical, and I think not unfairly critical, of Alabama's offense down the stretch, and frankly doubted them, though I probably should not have, but I knew they would play hard. I just wondered if they were capable, frankly, of having a consistent way of moving the football, both on the ground and through the air, against Oklahoma's defense. Well, the answer obviously is yes. Yes, they can. They clearly figured some things out.
They did not run the football very
not very well, or not very consistently. Yes. Correct.
Yeah. But again, both defenses also played well tonight as well. They both showed up.
Yes.
The Alabama defense and their special teams were on fire tonight. I think they got 6 sacks against Mateer.
Yeah, that I thought would be the deciding factor, right? And because of what I saw the last time these two teams met, and frankly, the last couple of offensive performances I'd seen from Alabama made me lean Oklahoma, right? Because I thought that the quarterback who'd be getting slapped around, frankly, would be Ty Simpson. But yes, the shoe was on the other foot this time.
Well, I mean, Simpson went down 5 times as well. So really, when you look at the stats of this game, it was the special teams play that Alabama had.
That's correct.
And their
explosives a little bit.
Yeah, explosives. Really. Mateer did show tonight that his hand is just fine, though. I mean, that he was gunslinging tonight.
Yeah, and his style of play It's funny. I remember the first time I saw him, even before he transferred, when I wrote up my first scouting notes on him. Literally, the first two things I wrote, I called him Gardner Mayfield, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
when I looked at him as a player, his play style, even when he was at Washington State, reminded me of a cross between Gardner Minshew and Baker Mayfield.
yeah.
And later, of course, at Oklahoma, it was even more obvious and in people's faces, I guess. But he is a player that I think in the right situation in the NFL could even be a starter. Maybe not a top 10 or even top 15 starter, but I think he could be a starter, a lower level starter. But I think he's probably a very high level, you know, uh, bridge quarterback or high level, like a guy who's good enough that if you have to start him, you don't feel too bad about it, but may not be that guy that you want starting for you.
Well, the Raiders have the first pick right now, so hey, we know what the Raiders do when it comes to drafting quarterbacks, right? Jamarcus Russell, yeah, okay, but we'll see what happens come draft time, obviously, but
Yeah.
hey, we have no idea if the Raiders even hold on to that pick at this point because
Right.
you got the Rams with 2 first-round picks.
Yeah.
The Cowboys are not going to go quarterback hunting. So they're not going to use their first 2-round picks. But again, the Rams very well could, right? And we don't know what that'll turn out to be. But again, Mateer definitely showed me tonight that his arm talent was always there.
Yep.
But boy, he was on fire, especially in that first half. He was just
Yep.
on fire, and that's good to see.
Yeah. And
You know.
and he can be streaky,
Yeah.
even at his best, right? Early in the season when he was, a guy that was talked about a Heisman Trophy candidate early in the season, even then he would get hot. And like a lot of shooters in basketball, right? He would test that heat. He would see just how far he could push it.
And the Oklahoma Sooners just missed another field goal. Their field goal kicker had been so good all year, and now he's just missed 2 of them here in the last couple of minutes. He was short on this. He was short on this one.
Right, and that's unfortunately, and I'm now speaking out of perfect ignorance. I was a backup holder at one point, but I've never kicked a football, at least not, in a game ever in my life. I've messed around in practice like other people have. It's so much harder than it looks, as I'm sure everybody hopefully understands. It is, however hard you think it is, it's 8 times harder than you think it is.
Brandon Aubrey is a very, very rare case of a guy who never kicked a football in his entire life, showed up at the UF, and then holy mother of Lord. Yeah, it is difficult. It is very difficult. And the punters tonight both had awful nights.
Yes.
Awful nights. Wow.
This would not be the tape you would show to NFL evaluators if you're either one. In fact, you mentioned special teams, and that's gets overlooked sometimes when people talk about breaking these games down.
It gets overlooked every game, Bill. Everybody always wants to talk about the quarterback. No. I don't know how many times I've said to Randall this year, special teams matter. It matters.
I promise you, in this playoffs weekend, there'll be at least one more game where the deciding factor between the teams will be special teams. At least one more of the games that'll be the case.
James Madison special teams come up with 2 big blocks, and look out, and there goes Oregon. That could happen.
Well, it's funny because obviously people chuckle about that matchup. And of course, I've seen James Madison play in person multiple times. Now, they were a FCS program most of the time that I've seen them.
Yep.
Seen them play William and Mary many times. I watched them play my alma mater, Norfolk State, a few times. But even back in the Mickey Andrews, even back in the fairly early days, because they're not that old a program.
No, they're not.
Not an old program. They've always been wrapped tight, right? They always had a good defense. 30, years ago, 25, 20 years ago, good defense. They've always had the ability to run the football. I don't care who you are. James Madison's going to find a way to run the football on you. I promise you that. Shout out to Vad Lee. Shout out to
They
All
will
the
run against any defense that is out there. They will run that football, and they will succeed at it. That is one thing that
they will get some business done. Those
people
Yeah.
don't understand that about James Madison. They
They
don't
do
get
not.
that.
They don't understand that they might not win that game. They might
No.
not. They might lose that game by 2 touchdowns, but they will not get embarrassed. I promise you. I
Nope.
promise you. Those
Nope.
people out there think it's
Tomorrow night when we're here after that game ends, I'm telling you, the people better have some respect for James Madison, because that is a school that deserves to be respected, just as Tulane does. Tulane, and everybody said to me, well, why aren't you upset that Notre Dame didn't make the play? I was not upset because game number one, Mike Denbrock blew that game by giving CJ Carr 9 straight pass plays. What are you doing?
Right.
And the second game,
That's
Chris Ash blew that game completely defensively. And those were 2 losses.
Yep.
Okay, Notre Dame's not going to be in the playoffs. And everybody was saying to me, huh? Even if they've been on their run, I was right, because they lost both those games by 1 point and by 3 points, right?
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
But
yeah, I mean, first of all, thank you for seeing these things very, very clearly and objectively. It wasn't always their fault. Like, that schedule on paper looked like it might have been a slightly better schedule than it ended up being when the real world occurred. So when you have a schedule that, even through no fault of your own, ends up not being that impressive in terms of,
when I saw them going to Miami for week 1, I went, uh-oh. And people were saying, where are you going? Uh-oh, because I'm old enough to remember the convicts versus the Catholics.
Yeah, well,
and you did not want to play Miami in Miami, period.
Yeah, well, there was a time when that was especially in the old Orange Bowl, which, was just,
don't say the Orange Bowl. I'm a Cowboys fan.
I'm so sorry, but you know what I mean? Like, but yeah, I mean, you used to need a tetanus shot. I mean, it was a rough place to play.
Oh, it was
literally a rough place to play. Like, you could cut yourself sometimes if you put your hand on the wrong place.
FedEx Field is the new Orange Bowl, as far as I'm concerned. And thank God the nation's capital is getting a new stadium.
They are getting right. Yeah. You're right.
And they will be back inside the Capitol where they belong.
Which is right. Yes, that's the way it belongs. I'm just speaking once again and I'm a Virginian, so I am a little bit prejudiced. But with my biases established, I am glad. Oh, yes, the atmosphere. Yeah, College Station is nuts. So that's another bucket list if you're a college football person. A night game in College Station is up there with night games in LSU, night games in Clemson. Lane Stadium, Virginia Tech, is one of those.
Oh, Virginia Tech. I mean, I don't care what anybody says.
It's a bucket list, man.
That opening with Metallica's Enter Sandman is just unbelievable. It is the top opening song to go into a game with, period.
Any level of football.
All of those kids were not even born when Enter Sandman was recorded in 1991. They had, and you see that fan base just jump up and down. I mean, they go insane. That is the best opening, period.
The only thing I can compare it to was I spent a little time at Fort Sill, learning a little bit about how to dial in and then do battle damage assessment, but dial in artillery a little bit, like learning how to call it in.
Yeah.
And how those people, now obviously you've got, ear protection in it, but how those people live life, I'll never fully understand, because I felt like my internal organs were getting moved around, Greg.
Yeah.
I don't know if people understand when people say a wall of sound, that's what we're talking about.
Exactly.
It is a wall of sound. Those are bucket list places. I'll throw in Outson, night or day. Outson is insanity. And then I think one of the most underrated, fun, interesting little stadiums in America is in Greenville, where East Carolina plays.
East Carolina.
They get rowdy and dowdy. Dowdy Ficklin
Oh yeah,
is a fun little stadium.
yeah.
The food is surprisingly affordable
It's
and good.
awesome. It's awesome.
It really
I've
is.
been to East Carolina.
Oh, I highly recommend getting rowdy and
And-
dowdy. Yeah.
And of course, I've always said when I went to the Carolinas the first time, and I was just stunned at all the Dallas Cowboys merchandise that was all over the state.
It's wild. I agree.
What?
It's wild how
Holy, they're all Cowboys fans.
it's
all right,
wild. Yes. It
you
is
know.
wild.
But of course, they didn't have the Panthers at that time either,
Correct.
right? So,
Correct.
but again,
So my generation and even the generation directly after mine, yours and mine, you had a split, right? Washington and Dallas throughout
Yep.
most of North Carolina and even parts of South Carolina. And then as you got towards the very bottom of South Carolina, you get some Falcons, obviously.
yeah, Falcons fans.
And of course, when the Panthers first came in, and as you know, when Dallas would play the Panthers early on in the Panthers' history,
It was all silver and blue.
correct.
It was.
It was not so much a home game for the early
No.
early Carolina Panthers. It took them a little while to get a foothold in their own marketplace, quite frankly.
Yeah. Did you watch? Did you get to see the North Carolina State Memphis game earlier?
So I'm so glad we mentioned this. So I've been telling everyone that one of the next year's teams to watch out for is NC State.
NC
CJ
State.
Bailey is
Yeah.
going to be in that top 4 quarterback discussion next year.
Yeah.
I promise you.
Yes,
that
he
any
is.
amount of, if you're a futures bettor,
Yep.
I'm just saying, I don't
Yep.
know what the odds for him to be at least a Heisman finalist are, but plunk a couple of bucks down. I'll just
Yep.
put it that way.
Oh yeah.
I'm not quite going to call him Randall Cunningham, but I'm going to say he's close to when I first saw Randall Cunningham early in his career at UNLV. The physique is very
Yep.
similar. The throwing motion is a little bit similar. The ability, despite being a guy who's, 215, 216 pounds at 6'5" or so, but he's stronger than you think a guy built like that's going to be, was a terrific basketball player to no one's surprise, I would hope. I think he was the Gatorade Player of the Year for 2A in both basketball and football.
Both basketball and football. Yeah.
So we're talking about a guy who's got sort of Drake May-esque, ability to do a little bit of whatever you need your quarterback to do. When he sees things a little bit faster, which I think will happen next year, because that's the only thing he's missing, right? Right now, he's still throwing the ball when he sees someone open as opposed to being throw them open or being able to anticipate. But once he gets to that, all the boxes will be checked. He's got everything but anticipation. Once he gets that,
he needs to have a solid O-line in front of him.
that would help.
I always mentioned the O-line matters in football, kids. It really helps.
It just decided, right? Just decided the game we just saw, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I give that Oklahoma O-line a lot of credit though, because they started 3 freshmen.
Yes.
That is not easy to have 3 freshmen out on your offensive line, and they did pretty well. I mean, they did have some penalty issues and things like that, but boy, those young kids, they put out everything they had tonight.
Oh, and the arrow is clearly pointed in the right direction. And it's funny because when I did my hot seat list, Venables was on it early in the year, right? I mean, going into this season, I knew that if Oklahoma had a struggle-filled season, that things would be said about him. To his credit, even when they had some rough games, they always bounced right back.
Yeah.
So if you're an Oklahoma fan, and shout out to my friend Nolan J. Lake, who has been a multiple-time guest on College Football Forecast and is extremely knowledgeable and is someone I'm trying to slowly pull into Team MBS. Shout out to Nolan, because then we'll have an Oklahoma insider. But there were times when, he expressed concern about certain position groups, and almost all of them, maybe with the exception of their running back room, which still, wasn't bad, but wasn't what he was hoping or expecting. I think that for the most part, Oklahoma improved in almost every part of the team, with the exception maybe of Mateer, who obviously went up and down at times. But But as
But
a whole,
Burks and Charles were excellent receivers tonight.
Yep.
Which is a surprise because most of the season they were fairly quiet.
and did all
You
the
know,
heavy lifting. Yeah.
That's right. But again, when these kids do get their opportunities and they show that they can play, that's a positive.
Yeah, I'm gonna just throw this name out there, and I don't know what's actually happening on it. This is not an insider report, but I could see if Darian Mensah pops up there. Woo! If
Well,
Darian Mensah pops up,
Mr. Mensah has not declared as of yet for the transfer portal.
Right, he has not. In
And-
fact, I know that they're nearing a deal. I've heard at least, that they're nearing a deal to bring him back to Duke. But I also know that if Oklahoma gets involved,
Yep.
that Duke is unlikely to be able to keep up. I'll just put it that way.
Well,
if he stays at Duke, it won't be just because of monetary compensation. I'll put it that way.
They're saying $5 million a year is going to be the average NIL for the 10 big names that are already on the list.
Right.
Hoover and Minchie and all these other guys who have already declared for the transfer portal. They could get up to $5 million a year, right?
Yep.
We'll see what happens. But again, it was definitely a good day for Mateer. I think Mateer needs to go to the East-West Shrine game. I think he needs to declare for that game if he wants to improve his NFL draft stock.
Yep.
Because he's not invited to the Senior Bowl.
I noticed. Yeah, I noticed. So that was interesting to me because I thought at one point he would be a shoo-in, but obviously that was not the case.
Yeah. But again, he was also a guy who at the beginning of the year and the way he was playing before he had injured his hand was a Heisman candidate, and he was at the top of the list. Well, but again, all these guys that started out the year as these great quarterbacks who are going to be Heisman candidates, where did they end up, Bill? Where did they all end up?
Well, it's funny because I remember looking at the Heisman odds, and of course you know this as well. At one point, number one, going at even before the season began, was of all places Archibald Charles Manning, right?
Yeah.
Which I thought was fascinating because
that was sheer stupidity, and I said so from the get-go.
Yeah.
It was sheer stupidity, and people were going, "What? He's going to be great." Really?
Well, I mean, and they might be right, but not yet.
No,
he
had played 2 games against nothing schools. Schools.
Yeah.
That's all he had played.
Right. Can we stop? Can we stop making all of our decisions based on hype? That would be the one thing I'm trying to ask us to do as a country. And I'm so happy that Lenore Sellers decided to stay in college. I think that's going to help him in the long run. We'll see what Dante Moore decides. We'll see what Ty Simpson decides. And I know that people's mindsets have changed, but now they want players to leave sooner. But for quarterbacks, and I think it's been proven, starts matter, right? I think that people are finally beginning to realize that starts matter.
Anthony Richardson with 13 starts. How is he doing in the NFL?
Well, the whole list of guys, right?
Yeah.
The under 20 list is not a pretty list.
No.
The under 20 starts list has got some very interesting names on it, right? I think Josh Freeman is one of the under 20s. Mark Sanchez is an under 20.
Yeah.
It's a mixed bag and mostly bad, frankly. So the under 20 starts list is not great. I think
it's actually not. It's an ugly list.
Yeah, correct.
So
if your guy is an under 20 starts guy, he probably should stay. I think it's been proven almost categorically. And so when people were pushing guys like Norris Sellers and other guys sort of out the door, I'm not glad he struggled, but I am glad that however things turned out, he and his team sellers realized college is the place he needs to stay for at least one more year. And he's a very bright young man.
Yeah.
He whatever's going on with him is not mental, right? He is a person who's able to understand at a high level what's going on. I just think that a combination of some of the things, just once again, we talk about immaturity, not immaturity emotionally, but immaturity in just terms of playing football.
Yeah.
South Carolina as a whole, frankly, not having enough balance, not just run pass balance, right? When I say balance, I mean short and long, right? In terms of what you're
That's
doing
right.
as an offense.
Yeah.
If you don't have the ability to consistently complete 6 to 12 yards, right? 6 to 12 yards. Are you consistently able to get 6 to 12 yards in the passing game, as well as take deep shots to Nick Harbor or whoever it is? When you can't consistently complete 6 to 12-yard plays as an offense, even if you are able to run the football, which they also struggle to do at times as well, it's going to make it it's hard to, not hard to, but it's not wise generally converting your 401k to just lottery tickets, right?
That's right.
You want to be able to, you want to be
Yep.
able to have some slow, steady returns as well. And they struggled as a team with that, with just being able to, to quote Hank Stram, negotiate the ball, matriculate the ball down the field. They weren't always able to matriculate the ball down the field. They were able to get off some deep shots, some wow throws, some of those things that made people fall in love with Lenore Sellers. But what the whole hype train that was attached coming into both he and Manning, and then they transitioned to, of course, we just saw Ty Simpson. That's where all the hype then transferred. Right after that was
Yeah.
everyone said, "Oh no, Ty Simpson's quarterback won." After a couple of weeks in,
And he wasn't for me. Mr. Mendoza was the entire season my
yes,
number one quarterback. Why? Because I watched the guy at Cal.
Cal, right?
Wake up, America. They play football on the Pacific side.
Yes,
It's late at night, but guess what? They still play football.
yeah.
And
he was the freshman of the year, the
Yeah.
last freshman of the, well, not the last. I mean, I guess the Pac-12 is going to continue to exist, but the last one in the old Pac-12. He was the last freshman of the year in the old Pac-12. And even at Cal, you saw the mental processing speed. I called him athletic, an athletic Cuban Matt Schaub. And I didn't mean that as a diss. I meant that the way he wins is like the way Matt Schaub wins. Matt Schaub was not a guy that blew you away physically, but he had a long NFL career. And I think he was 17 years in the league. And I think he and Phillip Rivers are almost exactly the same age. Now that I think about it.
They're very close. Yeah.
So Matt Schaub, if you're staying in shape, you might still get a call. But he was a guy that won from the neck up when he won, right? And he could move a tiny bit as well. And obviously Mendoza's a better athlete. But most of what Matt Schaub did was in the pocket. And it was sort of refreshing a bit with all the talk. And I love dual threat quarterbacks. Do not get me wrong. I told you, I'm over the moon for Darian Mensah. And I love Marcel Reese as well. But to see a guy who does it the way that, I'm not comparing him to
that
Brady.
we grew up with, the way that we grew up with, because these guys drop back,
right.
stay in
Jim
the
Everett,
pocket.
right. Those guys who would just, get that pre-snap read, have a pretty good idea where they're going with the ball. Then even if something changes after the snap, still know where the ball should go, or more importantly, know where the ball should not go. Right.
That's right.
With young quarterbacks, the biggest thing is, do they know where not to go with the football? Right. That's the hardest thing for young quarterbacks.
I said on Moving the Chains the other last Sunday, Derek May understands how to move up in the pocket. That is the thing that young quarterbacks just don't understand, especially at the NFL level. If you don't understand how to step up in that pocket and take a hit, you are not going to be successful. That's something that these college quarterbacks, because they're all back in the shotgun, all suffer with.
Yep.
But Mendoza stepped up in the pocket and made his throws.
Yep.
That is the key to winning in football.
It is. That and the ability to make that adjustment on the fly to that post-snap adjustment. If you can do those two things, we're seeing now Caleb Williams is turning the corner a little bit in those two areas, right? Because he's always been good at the pre-snap read. Even in college, he was really good at pre-snap read. But most defenses in college, 80% plus, don't do much, right?
No.
Between pre and post.
No, they don't.
Your pre-snap read is probably going to be, literally 80% plus of the time going to be what you're going to see after. So he just picked those guys apart. And the few times you would see some teams that would actually, throw some pretty good disguises, he would occasionally run into trouble. In the NFL, now it's instead of being 80%, it's 20%. It's flipped.
That's right.
So now
Yep.
80% of the time they're changing the picture on you, especially the young quarterback after the snap. And
Yep.
so when the guys that turn the corner, like Caleb is now, the guys that show you they're going to hang around are able to make that jump. I remember Andy Dalton. That was his big struggle. Even
Huge
later in his
struggle.
career, Andy Dalton would sometimes struggle with this.
Yeah.
But if the picture didn't change on Andy Dalton, he could pick you apart. But when the picture did change on Andy Dalton, he would throw a pick, right? So he would go from picking you apart to throwing a pick.
Don't please don't remind me about changing pictures and stuff. I've had to watch Matt Eberflus all year. Oh God, it's horrible.
I
anyway.
understand. I sympathize. I've been writing about the Colts, obviously, recently, last year and this year. I've been writing about the Colts. And Eberflus is one of those guys. Obviously, he was with Chicago. Got a chance to see him up and close in personal a few times as a coach in person. Saw some games here for Chicago, and then his whole career. It's funny because Lovie Smith, of course, had a nice run here too, and he's not exactly the same kind of coach as Lovie Smith, but he's got some real similarities as a defensive play caller to Lovie, right?
Yeah.
If you can get pressure without blitzing, like that's kind of the whole shooting match. That's the whole game. If Eberflus is able to get pressure without blitzing with his defense, they're going to win a lot. The problem comes when they have to do something other than that. If you're not getting pressure, or you have to start blitzing because something starts to go. The quality of defense goes down in proportion to the number of people.
He was shown earlier this year that when you put 5 guys on your line and you run at a quarterback, it works. Oh my goodness! But then he stops doing that and goes right back to his cover two. Oh Lord, no! It is just horrifying. He is so committed to being a cover 2 guy that he has no concept of how to switch things up. There was a game earlier this year. I'm trying to remember what receiver it was that I said needed to be press manned, and he was press manned by the Kansas City Chiefs the very next week, and he did nothing. I think he had 167 yards against the Cowboys though, because Eberflus doesn't understand what press man coverage is all about. He doesn't get it. So
I don't think he trusts it. Yeah, I think that's how I would say it.
No, well, he doesn't use it. He doesn't use it.
Right. Well, guys go with what they trust, right? If you want to know what a coach, people talk about what a coach likes. What a coach likes can change. What a coach trusts tends not to change, right?
Bingo.
There's very few coaches that will change what they trust. They may change what they like. We saw Alabama. We saw Coach Saban change what he likes on offense.
That's right.
But he never stopped trusting the run game. He never stopped trusting throwing to the tight end. He never stopped trusting certain concepts, even in the pass game, like we call POD, post over dig. You knew at some point on play action, on second and short, at some point in every game, especially at some important point in the game, especially when they could sucker you into blitzing them, right? They would sometimes invite you to blitz a little bit, and boom, now you get post over dig, right? You get that single high, and then you try to force that safety, who's the one high safety, to cheat down and try to take away that dig and then post over it, right?
Yep. and it worked. It worked.
That's why you do it. You do it because it is one of the simplest passing concepts. Literally, you can teach it to 9-year-olds. I know that.
Oh, absolutely.
I've taught it to 9-year-olds.
Absolutely.
9-year-olds. That's the other thing that's changed in the world, Greg. 9-year-olds are throwing the ball nowadays, right? In youth football. When I was playing youth football, we didn't throw the ball at all. I think I was 12 the first time a ball was thrown in a game that I was in.
Yeah, it'd be about 12 or 13 before I saw many passes, and of course that's even up here on the big field. We weren't throwing the football very much up here either. It was run.
Right.
But
exactly.
Again, everything's changed now.
Everything's changed.
So the earlier game tomorrow, Miami goes to Texas A&M and Kyle Field, which is loud, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Same sort of stuff I heard when Notre Dame went there last year. Oh, I think they beat them in Kyle Field, but okay. Yeah. And again, Texas A&M, I'm sorry, under Jimbo Fisher, they had so many clowns who were 4 and 5-star guys who just never did their work in the gym or on the practice field, whatever. How many guys that we saw come into the NFL from Texas A&M struggled?
Yeah, a lot
Bottom
of them.
line, right?
A lot of them. And
I don't see that happening under Mr. Elko, however.
well, Coach Elko is a slightly different coach
Yeah,
in terms
yeah.
of his approach to. First of all, you mentioned the weight room. Though any was coached with or played for Mike Elko will back me up with this. He's not the strength and conditioning coach, but you wouldn't know it sometimes. He doesn't just sit in the office. He's in there on lift days. He's in there on lift days, and that's a difference, right? He's in there on lift days. Sometimes he's in there getting after it on lift days. That is a dramatic. No offense, but you didn't see Coach Fisher in there cranking any reps out on the squat rack. That wasn't something that Jimbo did.
No.
So there is a difference, not just in coaching style, but like coaching presence. He gives you a presence throughout. He's not just there in the practice field. He's not just there in meetings. He shows up for lift days. He shows up for things that are quote unquote optional, right? He gets himself involved in, and I think
Texas A&M has a much better group of defenders than they've have ever had.
That's the two big differences. I think conditioning and defense are the two big differences between these teams and the Fisher teams.
Yeah,
that were just a game preserve, basically a 4 and 5-star recruits that would underperform, and you would see guys like Leal and Stewart. I mean, a long list of guys that came in, and they would never quite develop. Right?
No.
They would never quite become what they were supposed to be. Devin Shane obviously had a pretty nice little career, but for the most part, a long list of quarterbacks that were supposed to be good, Wegman and a long list of others never quite became what they were supposed to be under, the quarterback guru that was Jimbo Fisher.
Yep.
Some of the offensive linemen ended up being pretty decent. Some of the receivers ended up being pretty decent, but for the most part,
There's no superstars out of that bunch, though. There's no superstar. That's the whole thing, right? Now, I think Elko has the opportunity to have a couple of superstars, especially this defensive group.
Oh, this defense, yes, sir.
Now, the other defense, of course, the Hurricanes are loaded.
Loaded, yes.
They are loaded defensively.
Yeah. I'm a fool for Akeem Mesidor. That's like one of my guys. I'm a Mesidorite. So if you want to worship at the church of Akeem Mesidor, come to me and get the good word. I'm sold on him as a move around piece on both the interior and exterior of your offensive line. I think he has some of the qualities that make guys like DeMarcus Lawrence or make guys like who else knows? I'm not going to compare anybody to Justin James Watt. That's an unfair comparison. But
Chris Jones.
Yeah, almost right. Chris Jones light, right? A guy who can do a little bit of everything, right?
Yeah.
I think there's a place for him on most teams in the NFL.
Yeah, those are the two guys that can go inside and outside easy, absolutely easily. I mean, I still don't get how the Seahawks managed that victory line. I have no idea. The Rams put up 508 yards, 0 turnovers.
0 turnovers, yes.
They had 3 takeaways themselves, and they lost.
Is the first time in NFL history that all those boxes were checked on a team that lost. Well, first of all, shout out once again to Sam Darnold, right?
Yeah.
The old. They tried to write me off, and I didn't write back. To semi quote their previous quarterback. He is one of those players, and I compared him a little bit to Romo and some other guys, but if you watched him at USC, you could see the components of a good quarterback, right? Physical toughness, mental toughness, accuracy at all 3 levels of the field. But he's another guy that initially struggled with disguises and changes and things like that.
Yeah.
And then you add to that, the Jets are running neck and neck with the Browns when it comes to quarterback development. Like, I don't know what kind of record they're trying to set for basically setting young quarterbacks on fire.
It's horrifying.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not great. It's not great. And we were talking about Mendoza. Like, there's teams that I think he'll be successful, period. But I could see him struggling if he goes to New York, right?
If he goes to any of those 2 and 3 win teams currently, he will struggle because they have no offensive lines, period.
Yes,
And
correct.
if you do not have an offensive line that gives you time to
Yeah.
see the field, your history. You're done. I mean, Justin Fields,
Justin Fields.
he had 0 time. Every game that he was always under the gun.
Yeah, and that's the thing is developing a young quarterback. And we talked a little bit about, like, first of all, there are NFL teams that frankly do not know how to develop young quarterbacks. Like that's just established that there are teams that's not their thing.
That's the Browns.
That's obvious. They're an obvious one.
This
There's a solid handful of others.
This is the first time I've seen the Bears actually start developing a quarterback.
Bears, for the first time in a very long time, are successfully developing a young quarterback.
Oh no! Because the only quarterback they ever had was before you and I played. Were even born. Sid.
Yeah,
that's it.
Shout out to my friend Jeremy Gantz. In the next couple of months, there'll be a documentary about Sid Luckman, and I had a chance to participate. So thank you, Jeremy Gantz, for the opportunity. And you'll see that documentary drop, I think, in about 2 or 3 months, sometime in early next year. And
of course, all the young people are going, Sid who?
Well, yes, Cyanide Sid Luckman.
Yeah.
Played for Coach Lou Little, who became essentially his surrogate father, because I'm not going to re-air the sort of Luckman family history, but his father was involved with organized crime.
That's right.
And unfortunately missed a lot of Sid's late part of his youth, early part of his manhood, because he was locked up. And Coach Little and then later Coach Hallis became, like I said, almost virtually surrogate fathers to young Sid. But like I said, watch the documentary. You'll get to see deeper. You probably didn't tune into this for a deep dive into the life and times of Cyanide Sid Luckman. But we can for the first time,
Sid Luckman, Bill and I can discuss the Sid Luckman as a quarterback for about 5 hours.
We can. And if you want to see me really bloviate, like I said, check out the documentary. When it drops, I'll make sure that you know about it. But getting back to quarterbacks who play in 2 platoon football is probably what people want to hear us discuss, as opposed to single platoon football. The thing that I think that decides if a quarterback gets developed successfully, as you said, one is, are they treated like a human pinata, right? Can you avoid the David Carr treatment? Because at one point, unfortunately, we saw that Caleb was almost on that trajectory, right? He was getting smacked around, something awful. And through his own efforts, processing speed has improved. And then also the Ben Johnson offense it gives you so many more options, places to go with the football, and protects him better. You're seeing him begin to develop.
The key to that offense is the running game. It's not throwing the football, kids. This is what I love seeing 2 running backs go the way that Swift and Montague are going.
Monangai
Monangai has been phenomenal.
They've basically created the Mac Biner dynamic that we used to see with the Browns, right? Where
but again, it repeats what Ben Johnson had in Detroit with Gibbs and Montgomery.
Correct.
It's the same situation. Even though the 2 backs in Chicago are bigger backs, it doesn't matter. It's still a 2 running back system. They both have their own design plays. That's when everyone was saying Caleb Williams would be the first 4,000-yard quarterback, I don't care. I want to see the Bears winning football games. That's what matters. And Ben Johnson is winning football games.
He's got some really good 12 personnel packages. And the advantage is that, of course, that creates that extra gap in the run game for the defense to cover. And then when you get the defense finally to adjust to trying to make sure they can cover all those gaps, now you have one of those guys tick up off the seam instead of blocking and boom.
Yeah.
And it's basically stealing. You know what I mean?
That's what it boils down to.
Yeah, because whoever your linebackers are, most of them have no chance against Colston Loveland up the seam. I mean, there's not too many linebackers. Maybe 3 linebackers in the NFL. It's a fair fight if Colston Loveland takes up the seam for them to just try to stay in phase. About 3 guys can do it. And unless you are the team that has one of those three, you're probably not going to do well
And
when he takes
Cole,
off.
Cole Kmet still goes out there and does his thing as well.
And Kmet, though he's not quite as dynamic, he's a top 12 tight end to me. So they have two essentially top 12 tight ends on the same team.
So again, this is the thing that drives me crazy about the average NFL fan out there who only wants to worry about what a quarterback does. Did we just not mention 2 tight ends and 2 running backs?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Oh my God. And again, this whole positional value thing that comes up in the draft. This year, I don't think the positional value comes into play because we've got so many linebackers, we've got good safeties, we have very good tight ends.
Pass rushings. So many pass rushers.
Yeah.
Oh, if your pass rush is anemic, this is the year to fix it, my friends.
Oh yeah.
I'm in the process of putting the finishing touches on my first position group, and that's corners. That'll drop sometime in the next few days. My initial 25 corner ranking, and yes, there'll be some FCS guys on that list. If you haven't seen them, go see them. Now you live in the age of the internet. It's possible now, even if you aren't a person.
It's called YouTube.
There's YouTube. There's ESPN Plus.
ESPN Plus, and all that other good sort of stuff.
There's ways to do it. There's at least 3 FCS corners that I would draft in the first 150 picks this year. It's a really good FCS corner class this year.
I've got two of them in my 150.
It's a really nice FCS.
And I think my other guy is at 160. So he's close.
It's a nice group. So you've got a really nice group of corners. You've got I think the safety class is really solid.
Oh, Bill, you and I are in love this year.
We really are. I love safeties. That is my favorite position to evaluate. And this is a year Bill's going to get excited about because it's a really, really nice group of safeties available. We saw some good safety play in this game even.
But again, we got free safeties coming back. Free safeties. It's not just going to be these 2 guys. No, there's going to be a box safety and a free safety. The way football should be played.
Sure. And then now you have more and more teams running big nickel. We've got 3 safeties in the field at the same time.
Yeah.
In there playing at 4-2-5 or 3-3-5 stack. And that guy is that third safety is a guy who shows he can play in the slot. And that adds, speaking about positional value, I think the world is finally catching up to the importance of that slot defender. And we see what Kyle Hamilton's become with the with the Ravens, right? We're seeing now the next group of what Sanders still with the Commanders and a few other guys who are sort of similar. Antoine Winfield Jr.
Well, Brian Branch with the Lions as well.
Brian Branch. That guy who can play at all 3 levels of the defense. He can walk all the way up to the line of scrimmage. He can play in the middle of the field. He can play deep middle. He can cover tight ends. He can cover running backs. He's a terrific blitzer.
You can call them whatever you like. In the old days, we used to call those guys a rover. I'm sorry,
Monster Man, right? Some monster
rover,
sometimes, yeah, right.
But whatever the kids are using as their terminology this year. Caleb Downs is certainly another one of those. I mean, he's just bottom line.
He's going to go off the board in the top 10. People are finally awakened to the importance of safety play, Greg. He's going to finally, we're going to see a safety go early and deservingly to go very early.
And of course, this year, Jeff, who was putting in those mock draft safeties, no, Jeff, no. This is the year that Jeff should have been with us this year.
This time. Yes,
because there are safeties.
This is not a drill. We're going to be a top 10.
And the linebacking core this year is massive. I mean, massive. And guess what? Carolina, the Cowboys, teams that need a linebacker, that's who's going in round 1. I don't care, kids. Round 1, it's going to be a linebacker in Carolina and in Dallas because these guys are so good.
The Ravens and the Raiders could both use
Ravens and Raiders. But the Raiders actually had the first overall pick currently.
That's right. They will be using that pick on a linebacker, but maybe the next one or the third pick. The Saints could use a linebacker.
Saints.
There's a bunch of teams that could use an upgrade to their linebacker position. And nowadays, because of the way football is played, the linebacker that you're very often playing with, you said, with two linebackers. So that linebacker that is not the go forward all the time linebacker, the one that has to also be able to flip his hips and turn and go, that guy is going to see his value go up and up and up. What Drew Tranquill has brought to the Chiefs, who admittedly have struggled at times, but he has not been one of the reasons why. Like one of the quiet heroes of the Chiefs this year has been Drew Tranquill. So guy who can stay on the field, even when you go to, even sometimes even a dime situation, he's maybe the last linebacker you leave on the field.
Arvell Reese, who I will not compare to a guy that plays in Green Bay currently, because the guy who played in Green Bay, he never did this in college. He never played the edge in college.
Right.
Okay?
He was a middle linebacker. Yeah.
He was an MLB, exactly.
Yeah.
And he would go in coverage as a safety as well and all that. That's what he did at Penn State.
Correct.
The only reason he ever became an edge rusher was because DeMarcus Lawrence was injured. They had to have somebody come up. That's what that guy did, okay?
Yep.
So Arvell Reese is Arvell Reese. I don't want him compared to number one of the Green Bay Packers, period.
Correct.
Because he's a different player.
Yep.
But Sonny Styles, oh my God. Oh.
This is going to be a really fun draft class.
Jacob
I say this pretty much every year, but boy, oh boy, is this year's going to be.
Jacob Rodriguez is an old-time linebacker. He is the old-time linebacker. That guy should have had a shot at being in New York. I don't care.
Yep. Sure.
He should have been at the Heisman.
Yeah, he's got Tommy Nobis level. Well, I know I skew old sometimes, but he's got Tommy Nobis level, like what he can do. He can come in and just be a flattener, like a hammer. Yeah. He can drop into coverage. He has good hands, as we've done. He's got he could do whatever it is you need a linebacker to do. He can do it. He can do 100% of the things you need a linebacker to do.
You know who he reminds me of? A guy that used to play for the Steel Curtain.
Oh boy.
Which one? Which one of those linebackers from the Steel Curtain does he remind me of?
Well, not Greg Lloyd. So I'm thinking of who you're thinking of. He's not like Gilden. He's not like, let's see, not Chad Brown.
No. Go back to the 70s.
You're probably going way back.
Go back to the 70s.
Yeah, okay. Now I know where you're going with this. You're going like Lambert Ham. Okay.
And it's Ham. Ham.
Oh, yeah.
That's
he's bigger. He's bigger, but
He's bigger. He's bigger than Jack Ham was. But again, Jack Ham was a guy who could go back and cover a tight end.
Oh my gosh. Ham was one of the top 3 coverage linebackers in the history of the game. So
in the game. Bottom line. And
he used to run with receivers, like receivers. Like not tight ends. I mean wide receivers. He would run with them all over the field. I'm not trying to bring up bad memories, but at one point he just flat out took away Golden Richards in a game.
The 35-31 game. The 35-31 game. He took away Golden Richards.
He could really cover.
Yeah.
So he was special. I mean, man.
But again, this entire draft is going to be a wild one because, again, the positional value that everybody talks about is so important that you have to draft in the first round. I don't care. I want the best player available. Correct. And this year, they're on defense, guys, because the offensive lineman, the one guy from Miami, and those 2 guys from the Utah Utes are low first-round picks because of their size. So guess what? Don't get hung up on the tackle position in round 1. You're going to see the safeties. You're going to see linebackers. You'll see tight ends. It's going to be a different draft.
At least one running back.
At least
maybe even multiple tight ends is a really nice tight end class. It's a really nice tight end class.
Yep.
So it's early, obviously. Things will change. The Combine, Senior Bowl will have an impact. but I think you're going to see a run on offensive tackles actually because of what you just said. And I think a tackle or maybe even two will get pushed up. It probably shouldn't happen, but I think it will. I think people will take tackles earlier than they should because of this, how sort of bit of they're a little sparse. But other than the tackle class, and maybe if you're looking for a certain kind of quarterback, right? Like the guy with a cannon, the huge armed quarterback. If that's the guy you're looking for, you'll be disappointed a little bit in this class.
Yep.
And yeah, if you're looking for, I mean, Orlando Pace is not in this tackle.
No.
If that's what you're looking for, if you're looking for that guy, that first battle Hall of Fame.
Now, Mr. Proctor, the 365-pound left tackle for Alabama, yes, he could be a first-round tackle, but again, does he really qualify as a first-round tackle? No. He's a second rounder.
Doesn't mean he won't go in the top 15 picks.
That's right.
Because of the desperation.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Now the Rose Bowl is going to be an interesting game because Indiana hosts the Rose Bowl. Indiana, Rose Bowl. I don't recall that ever happening in my lifetime, but again,
I think the last time it happened was 49.
Yeah,
it was a while back. It
was before we were born, Bill.
It was a little while back. So yes, shout out to Indiana once again. And I've been a big Kirk Cignani fan since his days in the PSAC, and I am so thrilled. I thought that he might not get past James Madison. I was thrilled when he came to James Madison, and I thought, he's been around so long, and it took him a while even to get to that level, and he was flat out killing it at James Madison. So I'm glad he did get a chance to keep moving up. But this is a guy that has won at every level of football for a very long time.
And as I predicted, they stopped all the 4- and 5-star guys for Ohio State.
Correct.
I said this could be very possible, and people were going, huh? No. That Ohio State defense has too many good guys on it. Guess what? Indiana doesn't care. Those 3-star kids that they got, they don't care because they are so well coached. They are so well coached.
Yep.
Their coordinator, their head coach, all have that same message, the same message over and over and over. Indiana is the real deal, and Alabama is in big, big trouble. You're going to get a beating at the Rose Bowl, Alabama.
The people still haven't. I think it's the name Indiana that still throws people off. It's the name. They still are thinking of all the Indiana teams they've ever seen in their lives prior to these last couple. And even last year's team had some weaknesses that this year's team does not. And we just talked about a bunch of do-everything linebackers. I'm going to throw the name Aiden Fisher into that list also.
Bingo.
Do I want him in Pittsburgh? Desperately, yes. I desperately want him in Pittsburgh. So desperately. First of all, he feels like a Steeler, right?
He does. He is the one linebacker that I've already kind of penciled in as a Steeler. So you're correct.
Everything about him feels like a Steeler. Yep. That's part of it, right? And I'm right a lot about some of those guys. But he's one of those guys that he really. First of all, we talk about the passing game, but he knows his first job is still stopping the run. He's fantastic at it.
Yeah,
his run fit, he's right like 96% of the time. Like I don't know whose grading system people are using or whatever. My grading system says he's almost never wrong on his run fits. He's almost never wrong, Greg. He's almost never wrong. His run fits are
dynamic. Please don't talk about run fits. I've got Kenneth Murray.
I'm sorry. I know. I'm so sorry, Greg. Well, you can fix that. This is the draft to fix that.
This is the draft to fix this. I mean, it is. Unless Jeremiah Love falls down to the Cowboys at 14, Sonny Styles will be there at 14. And bingo, hello, there he is. Thank you. And then the Cowboys can worry about an edge guy later on, and or a corner.
Super deep. Those are super deep groups. Depending on what kind of corner I need, I might take one early because if you need a 6'2" corner, those guys are going to go off the board fast. But if you don't care about a guy being 6'2", there's lots of good corners.
There's tons of very good corners this year.
Like, a lot of people get hung up on height and length, and I understand. I mean, it gives you certain opportunities if you're longer as a corner. But if you're willing to take a guy who's 5'11", there's going to be a bunch of really good corners available.
There are very good corners.
Very deep class.
Yeah.
But back to what we were saying a little bit about Aiden Fisher and that the group of traditional linebackers, the whatever old school, classic linebackers, the linebackers that you and I grew up watching. This is a really good group, not just of the quasi linebacker, pass rusher types, hybrid types.
Yeah.
Not just the guys who are like overinflated safeties, right? But guys who are true linebackers. It's the best class we've seen in a while, I think.
Oh yeah, yeah. And Sonny Styles was a former safety as well. So
yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Now how he played. I mean, wow. When you think about his frame, how he stayed a safety as long as that tells you something. That guy can stay a safety as long as he was with that frame.
He was at 225 playing safety. He's now 240. He's now 240. Right. So okay, yeah. I mean, even if I dropped him down to 230 and used him in both positions in the NFL level, you've just doubled your quality on defense right there.
Correct. My comparison for him was Jamie Collins when Jamie was coming out of Southern Miss. Ability to still see that safety movement, safety skills. Yeah. Even when he gets, I mean, I think by the end of his career, Jamie was playing about 242. But but even then, even later in his career, his movement never wavered. He could still flip his hips, turn and go and run with, some slot receivers, pretty much any tight end you could name. Shout out to Jamie Collins, one of my guys who had a really nice NFL career. And when I first started sort of, in the early days of draft Twitter, like, bothering people about him, people were like, who? It's like, you'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, Styles there'll be no need for who for him. Everybody knows about him.
Oh.
But a lot of the same things I saw in Jamie Collins, I see in him.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Tulane, Ole Miss tomorrow. This is not going to be the same matchup that we saw in September.
Correct.
Because this Tulane defense is playing much, much better now.
They are much better. And I think Ole Miss is probably a little more, I don't want to say beaten up. That's probably too strong a word, but I don't think they're quite as locked in as a team. We'll find out, right? This will be a lot. We'll find out a lot about that team's mentality. A lot has changed. Since then. Yeah. They still have a lot of talent on both sides of the football. That is a team.
Trinidad Chambliss is a very good quarterback who is now applying to come back for his 6th year too. He's applying to come back for his 6th year. So,
yeah, and I've been a big fan of his since the Ferris State days. I root for him. I think there's a place for him in the NFL when he finally does decide to hit into the draft. If it's not this year, then next year. I think that people still sleep on him a little bit, which is quizzical. I'm not. Is he a first round or even a second round quarterback? No. But if you're one of those teams that's not taking a quarterback early, and you're looking for a guy who could be a high level backup, PJ Walker, maybe a better version of a guy like Philip J. Walker.
There was a guy that the Cowboys did this in 2016 with. I think his name is Prescott. 4th round pick.
Yeah. All right. He can develop. Yeah.
He could develop.
Yep.
Obviously Dak had to develop very quickly, which he did season 1. But but again, Trinidad Chambliss is that guy that reminds me of Dak Prescott so much. He reminds me of his play, his style. It reminds me a lot of Dak. It really does.
Yeah, if he had Dak's frame, he would go earlier. Dak probably should have gone earlier. Yeah, because Dak was like 6'2.5" and darn near 2. I think he was 238 when he showed. His weight has of course moved up and down at various points in his career, but he was very thickly built.
He was.
And thick. Trinidad is obviously a much smaller frame guy.
Yeah.
But his arm's better than you think. His arm's better than you think. He's not weak armed.
Nope. Nope.
He can move around, right?
Yep.
He may not be an elite level athlete, but he's slippery. He can pick up 10, 12 yards at the NFL level when he needs to. If he squirts out there, his ability to throw the ball outside of the pocket is near the top of this class. And he has to improve a little bit inside. As you said, navigating, moving up, using the
pocket and using a lane, which again, like I said, Drake May learned how to do this.
Yep.
And again, what did the Patriots focus in on? They got an offensive line in front of him. That was the big key. Those 5 guys in front of Drake May have played superb all year long.
Yes.
And they're not superstars.
No.
They're not high cost tackles.
They're not all pros. No, they're not.
Not all pros. They're just 5 guys that go out and do their job. Oh, wow.
Yep. I mean, and that's usually what offensive lines have been like over the past several years with the Patriots. The Patriots have every once in a while they have a Logan Mankins or whatever, a guy that makes the Pro Bowl, things like that. But most of even in their dynastic run, they were good.
They were good, but they weren't superstars.
No, quite the opposite. Like I said, I think Logan Mankins made a couple of Pro Bowls. They had the sprinkling of Pro Bowls from a couple of guys. I think Solder made 1 Pro Bowl in his career, but these weren't, like I said, these aren't Hall of Famers. These are guys that maybe make your Ring of Honor or whatever one day, but these are not Hall of Fame type guys. Now, the development, as you said, and I'm a Drake Lee May guy from way back. I watched his father, Mark, at UNC back in the day, who, back with they had Kelvin Bryant and stuff like that. That was Drake May. Obviously, grew up in a highly competitive household. I think every single one of the children got a scholarship to do some sport somewhere. He's got a pitcher. I think one of the girls was softball/volleyball. One of his brothers was a pitcher at Florida, of course. Luke played on a national championship team at Carolina. Drake himself was a terrific high school basketball player, as you can sometimes see when you watch him move around. But Drake Lee May is going to be in that elite tier of quarterbacks very, very soon. He's breathing down the necks of the elite guys right now.
I mean, after Stafford, Drake May's the number 2 choice right now to be NFL MVP.
And deservedly so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, the Tulane Ole Miss game, what type of score are you going to see?
I'm so glad we got back to this game because I think this game I think it's less than 10 points. I think this game is decided by somewhere around 8 points. 23-31, something like that. Yep. I think that it is a dogfight most of the way. I think Ole Miss pulls away down the stretch a little bit just because of that talent disparity. But they're going to have everything. Their hands are going to be full most of this game. They might get up by 2 scores early, and then Tulane's going to claw their way back. They are exactly the kind of team you do not want to face in these guys' games because they don't know that they're supposed to not be as good as you. They don't know that you're supposed to pull, just walk all over them. And Jake Retzlaff, we were talking about developmental quarterbacks, right? Once again, a guy whose frame is not what you're looking for. He's got that sort of Drew Brees-esque kind of build. Looks like a guy that probably played tennis at a high level like Drew Brees did. But he's going to create some plays. And yes, white quarterbacks can be dual threat too, my friends. He's going to get on some edges and make some people miss. If he gets 3 explosive plays as a runner. Yep. Tulane stays in this game.
Bingo.
3 explosive
games. And
20, and he can go for 20, 25 yards. He's that kind of athlete.
Yep. Exactly. I was going to say if he goes for 15 plus.
Yeah, 15
plus. Times. Yeah. 15 plus 3 times.
Yep.
Tulane is going to be very close in this game.
Yep.
The James Madison, Oregon, we spoke about this a little earlier. If James Madison is blown out in this game, I will be shocked. I
think I can't remember what the line is, but I would bet the under. I think it was 20.5 or something like that.
Yeah.
I feel like they're going to hang around this game. And even if they get a 21, 24-point lead, they're going to claw their way back. There's no quit in the Dukes. Zero. No quick.
Zero.
And once again, a couple of years ago, this team kind of was Indiana. I mean, like, so many of the good Indiana players came from James Madison.
Only 13 of them.
Well, yes, right, 13 of them. But my point is that they know how to develop players.
Oh, yeah.
I'm driving at. This is a developmental. They know how to develop players. They don't just get players and let them play and toss them out there and say, go play football. They do a terrific job of physically and mentally molding players.
Yeah.
They don't have to get 4 and 5 stars, which is good because they're not going to.
No.
But they get 2 stars and the occasional 3-star, and that 2.5-star program is going to create problems for you. They are going to. They can't take away everything Oregon does, and they know that. They're going to take away one thing, though.
That's right.
They're going to take away one thing that Oregon does. So Oregon needs to decide. You could be stubborn about certain things. Oh, we're going to run the ball no matter what you do or whatever. And at times you may still have success, but I would recommend winning with whatever your other thing is, and not just running your head into a brick wall. Watch out once again for quarterback run. We just talked about quarterback run.
Yep.
James Madison is not afraid to run their quarterback.
No, they're not.
No, they're not, and never have been. I mean, once again, since I've been watching them going back to the 80s, they've never been afraid to run their quarterback. If the quarterback run game is going for James Madison, they will stay on the field, which is what they need to do. If they stay on the field, they're not having 3 and outs. This will not be a blowout. It will not be a laugher. This will be we have to play for at least 3.5 quarters kind of game for Oregon. They may, like I said, eventually pull away, but it won't be a laugher. That I would pretty much bet everything I have that this will not be an embarrassment.
Yeah. The one game I think could end up being embarrassing is the Texas A&M Miami game. Because Beck can either be very good or very bad.
Yep.
And if that Texas A&M defense is on par and he's very bad, Miami gets blown out of Kyle Field.
Yeah,
Gone.
that could be a 3-touchdown game. Yeah, that could be. So here's what I'm going to say. We just talked about quarterbacks and the picture that changes before and pre and post snap. Carson Beck is capable of being I have a third, an early third round grade on him, but I wouldn't be shocked if he goes a little bit earlier. I won't be shocked if he goes a little bit later, but he's a late third, early. I think he's a third round pick. I think he can go anywhere in that range. But if you play straight up and you don't do anything to throw him off, if what he sees is what he gets, he's capable of picking you apart. He's a guy that has a good
kind of like J.J. McCarthy just did to the Cowboys, because the Cowboys did nothing to confuse the guy, and he had his highest passing total game and all that other fun sort of stuff. Yeah, that's what he would end up being.
Very similar. He's got a good enough arm. It's not a cannon, but it's a good enough arm. He can move a little bit too. Like, he's not a runner, obviously, but he can move a little bit. But the big thing about him is if that pre-snap read, he's decisive. He can be sometimes a little stubborn. He can stare it down. He doesn't move quickly enough sometimes to his secondary receiver. But if his primary is there, you could lose big to him, because that's where he likes to just get the ball, catch and release. Likes to get the ball, get it out of his hands. And when he's doing that, he's as good as any quarterback in this class. When he's just rocking up that back foot and just.
But again, I think Texas A&M has the secondary to shut down the excellent wide receivers that Miami has. And they also have wait a second, Bill.
Yeah.
Texas A&M also has a couple of linebackers that are real good too.
Yes, they have a terrific front seven. Terrific front seven.
Yeah. To
me, that's the key to this game is which team's front seven is winning the majority of the plays, right? If the team that's front seven has control of the game is the team that wins this. I think the defenses win this game. I think Marcel Reese just has to keep the truck out of the ditch. And I think Carson Beck, who at times has run the truck into a ditch, has to avoid that as well. So the quarterback that avoids the disaster play, makes 0 disaster plays, and the front seven that has control of this game, that team wins this game. I lean Texas A&M, and I think they win it
I think Texas A&M could win that game by 21 or 24.
Right.
I'll say
I
though.
think it's more
I'll
like
say
9, but yeah.
I'll say right now. I'll call it like a 13-point difference right now.
Okay.
I'll say like 34 to 21, something like that for Texas A&M.
Yeah, I'm not quite as aggressive with my prediction, but yeah, I think they're about just short of. I think they're just short of double digits, around 9 is what I'm feeling. But could it turn into an uglier game? It certainly could. Yes, I agree.
We're not gonna see the 19-point blowouts that we did last year.
Right. I think that almost all the games will be in that 10-point and under range, with maybe, as you said, maybe one exception if Miami turns the ball over.
Yeah.
I think that even the James Madison game, it might be 2 scores there as well, but I don't think it turns into a blowout.
No, I just don't see that happening. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So tomorrow night we will be on after the Oregon game as well.
Yep.
We'll have Julian, who is also going to be with us tomorrow night, since Randall is traveling for the holidays. Yeah, that's a lovely trip he's got to make to Boston.
Oh, okay.
Boston. Like, that's a horrifying trip to think of in December, is traveling from Little Rock, Arkansas, or Fayetteville, sorry, up to Boston. It's like, oh boy, that'll be a nasty road trip. I think he said something like it's going to be 23 hours of travel.
Oh boy. Okay.
In the car. Like, ouch. Yeah. That's too long.
I've driven from Chicago to Mobile, and I think that's 40 something minutes. So it can be done in one day. I could testify to that. In fact, I would have done it slightly faster, except that my shout out to Matilda, my Range Rover. She is 21 years of age. She can legally drink. She had a little fuel pump issue in Tennessee, so that slowed me down a little bit. But without that, I would have done it in even faster. But So I can shout out to Randall, who's driving from Fayetteville to Boston. I don't know what route he's taking though. I wonder.
I don't know what his route is either. All I know is going up to Boston. That city is so laid out so badly that it just.
I was about to say cart paths. So
yeah.
It literally were old cart paths. They just made into.
But I haven't been there. I haven't been there since the new tunnel and all that.
After
stuff.
the big dig, yeah. Right? I was there right as the big dig first started, and I was thinking about going back to school for some reason, and I was looking at writing programs, and so I was able to book more than one, what do you call it, interview or whatever. Both one at Emerson, who has a very fine creative writing program, and Tufts, right?
Yeah.
And so, and the other thing is getting directions from Bostonians. Well, that used to be called. Right?
Yeah, it's like, huh?
So you always get a little bit of a history lesson when you get directions from Boston. Shout out to Bostonians. They are very proud of their city's history, and as well they should be. But when you're in a hurry,
the Boston Bruins was my dad's hockey team, right? So that's who my dad loved, because Johnny Busick was the captain of the Bruins and all that jazz. And my his younger brother was my dad's best friend growing up. So he was a Boston Bruins fan. So but the Celtics, I'm sorry, I've always been a Lakers guy, so it's goodbye Celtics, and of course the Red Sox and the Yankees. I don't like either one of them. So
right.
Well,
yeah. So I guess you've got the Blue Jays, I guess. But
I've always been a St. Louis Cardinals fan.
Oh, that's right.
St. Louis Cardinals.
That's right.
Yeah.
Speaking of Arkansas, at one point their top, what do you call it? Farm teams were in Louisville, Arkansas, and Memphis, Tennessee. I think
Memphis, Little Rock, and Louisville were always St. Louis Cardinals towns. Yep.
Yeah.
I used to watch the Arkansas Travelers all the time.
Yep, the Travelers.
Beautiful stadium. Yeah. Beautiful stadium, and it's just a gorgeous stadium in Little Rock. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. The last thing I want to say, since we did mention special teams a little bit, somebody in one of these games coming up next week is going to have a field flipper, maybe even a score, but a field flipper return that's going to set up an easier score that's going to change the direction of one of these games. And we mentioned the name of KC Concepcion briefly earlier.
Yep.
That guy. Once again, what would NC State be like if they still had KC Concepcion? But they're doing fine. It's that even without him. But boy, oh boy, if he was still there. Whew. But Concepcion.
Miami has good return guys as well, though. So again, that game tomorrow is going to be a very interesting way to start off the day. That'll be a very, very tough game.
100% correct. I could not agree more.
I still think Texas A&M will beat up the Hurricanes because Miami only traveled twice out of the state of Florida.
Right.
The one game they played was at SMU, which is not all that far away from College Station. SMU put the beating on them.
They did.
Yeah. So again,
that's another team to watch. Keep your eye on SMU next year. Jennings, I think, is coming back.
Yeah.
So if they bring back most of the upperclassmen, if most of them, the guys who still have eligibility come back and don't either hit the portal or declare early for the draft, SMU is one of those teams to keep an eye on. So NC State and SMU could be playing for the ACC championship.
ACC title.
Those two teams are really intriguing to me.
It will not be Cal and Stanford for the ACC title next year. Okay, just trust me on that fact.
It will not.
Even though they both are ACC teams, but yeah. But the Cal's quarterback stayed. He stayed.
That would be one of the big surprises to me too. I think that a lot of
I had heard he was going to stay because the money was very good to stay. One of the shareholders of Cal, of course, may have coughed up some pretty decent dollars for him to stay.
As well they ought to. I mean, he's another guy that could. I mean, we talk about arm. If we'll see what happens with guys like Jamie Alba and things like that, but like the arm strength thing that it maybe isn't overwhelming in this particular class could be quite special in terms of next year's class of quarterbacks.
Yeah, the 2027 draft class is going to have a much better group of quarterbacks than the 2026 does.
Right. There's some arms.
There's some very, very big arms.
Right. If Sellers works out his problems, that's a guy with a big arm.
Yeah.
Mayava, like I said, at USC, that guy's got a really strong arm. I remember I was a big Douglas Brumfeld guy at UNLV, and then he got hurt, and I was like, oh. And then this kid trots on this redshirt freshman, trots onto the field and blows my mind with some of the throws he's making. It's like, oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay. UNO is going to be okay at quarterback. I guess I can stop worrying. And then, of course, he transfers at the end of that year to USC. But that guy can make all of the throws. He can make Kai Lemon and guys like that certainly help. But he can Jacoby Lane's pretty good, too. But he can make all the – there's times when he took advantage of the fact that he had those kinds of guys, but he's making some throws. He's putting it in tight windows. He's making those drop in the bucket throws on – fades. He's gunning bang eights into guys. Like he's got all the shots in his bag. Like he's got all of them, man. That guy's got every club. He can make the
next Thanksgiving Day weekend when the Fighting Irish come out to USC for the final time. It could very well be the last time because they don't have a deal in place, which is it's beyond me why USC is saying that they only want the early season game against Notre Dame now, and that's it. That's all. What are you doing? That is stupidity. I mean, we're not asking you to come to South Bend, Indiana at the end of November. It's off the deep end as far as what USC
there's a lot of reasons that I would like to see that game continue beyond just tradition. First of all,
it's our number one rival.
Correct. And Notre Dame, USC is going to be good again. It is good. It's going to, I think, continue to. I think their days of being sort of a 7-5, 8-4 program are gone. I think they're going to continue to be a 10, maybe an 11 type win program in the Big Ten. I think they've rounded the corner. They figured it out in terms of how to build and recruit for playing in the Big Ten. And shout out to the recruiting. Like people forget that while the head coach and coordinators do a lot of things, and they're involved in recruiting too, more and more college teams are bringing in people who specifically do recruiting. Like that's their whole shooting.
That's their whole life.
It is the job. And many of these teams have a full-on general manager.
Yeah.
And that person manages the NIL money. That person manages the board, right? Of both high school, junior college, and of course, guys who are in college, without tampering, of course, manages the board of who might be available at what position.
Whoever that guy was at Texas A&M, you did a very good job this year.
Oh my God.
Indiana as well.
Shout out to the player personnel, in essence, at Indiana, because they do not miss, Greg.
No,
they do not miss. The guys they get from not just James Madison, but all the guys that came, their portal was the most accurate portal in college football. They had almost zero misses. Nobody was more accurate in talent evaluation of guys they brought into the portal than Indiana, and they had to be, but they were. They nailed it. Boom, 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 boom.
Yep. And Randall and I are in complete agreement on this, by the way. My receiver, who is the most ready to go to the NFL this year, is Elijah Surratt. I don't care what anybody says about any other wide receiver. The most ready to go in the NFL will be Surratt. Just as I said last year, Egbuka was.
Yeah, I like Surratt a lot. I don't have him quite as high as you. I'm a Mackay guy. I'm a Mackay guy.
No. I'm saying he's the most NFL ready to go.
No, I 100% agree. I think Mackay also is a all 3 level wide receiver. I think he can catch all wide receiver screens and those little slip screens and do something with them. I think he runs slants beautifully, but he can go deep too. And I don't think he's going to test through the roof. I think he's going to run in the high 4.4s, the low 4.5s. Abuka. Amon-Ra St. Brown-esque kind of testing. I think he's physically stronger than people realize. And people underestimate how important strength is at the wide receiver position. Abuka was another guy that people underestimated his physical strength, right? He breaks tackles. That's part of why he is who he is.
But what was I saying all last year? He is the most ready to play in the NFL. I don't care. He is the most ready to go wide receiver. More than Matthew Golden was. More than Tedero McMillan was.
More than any of those guys.
All of them. All of them last year.
And I would agree there. Abuka was very, very polished. I think, like I said, I think Mackay's very, very polished. I agree with Surratt. Only thing I would say is that Surratt's route running is good, but not exceptional. I think Lemon's not a little. I think he's a smaller bodied guy, so it's not fair to compare, but he gets in on his breaks. So fluidly. Fluidly. He's gonna turn dudes around. He's gonna turn dudes around. The way that Surratt doesn't have to, because he can just body up in a way that a bigger receiver can. But there's a place for him in the NFL. He's gonna. He's what I call a possession plus guy, right? He's not just possession. He's possession plus. He gives you stuff after the catch that a pure possession receiver doesn't do. Young Adam Thielen was a possession plus receiver, right?
That's right.
That's where Surratt is. He's in that possession plus category where he'll go jump, 8 yards. He runs that flag pattern, jumps up, then breaks a tackle, and now it turns to a 20-yard play.
Bingo. And that's why I said he is the most NFL ready to go wide receiver. I have him as my number one guy for being the best rookie wide receiver, as I said Egbuka would be this year. Even though he will not be drafted in that manner. He will not get drafted in that manner.
Right. But his testing will be probably a solid, but not spectacular.
That's right. Yeah. But again, I think he is the most NFL ready wide receiver in this draft.
Right. And guys that, like I said, we mentioned Mackay, Concepcion, even some people like him. Miami, has to wait on their guy, but you have a receiver going. Malachi Corley, when his time comes, might be the first receiver off the board. Jeremiah Smith has to wait one more year. That guy's going to be him.
Ryan Williams has another year. Blah blah blah.
Right. Yep. Bernard is a guy who's going to go somewhere in the second or third, and it's going to give you good value on that return.
Bingo.
I really like the second and third, like your guy, Surratt. There's a really good second, third round receivers in this class.
Yeah.
This might be a good year to target your guy in the second, third round. But there's going to be some first round receivers who are going to have nice careers as well.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, but
Jordan Tyson, blah blah blah. Yeah, we know him.
Right, but I'm excited about the class as a whole. I think it's a solid class, top to bottom. I've already blabbed about the tight end group. I think the interior offensive line group is very impressive. A little thinner at the tackles. I'm very excited about, like I said, some of the FCS players. If you're not really into FCS players, check out some of the dudes that'll be playing tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Shout out to the Redbirds of Illinois State, who knocked off Goliath, right? Knocked off NDSU. They are getting. They've got a couple of defensive backs. Speaking of defensive backs,
I was just stunned when Illinois State people. I was like, "What? This is this shouldn't." And they pounded them. They tried
to tell people, right? They did. They were very confident going into that game. And shout out to my friend Jalen Love, who former Redbird. I have friends who played there. They weren't surprised. Brock's back. Speaking of guys that are football lifers, Brock's back, long-time defensive coordinator. One of those guys that at one point I wondered would ever be a head coach, has been a really successful head coach. Yeah. And maybe he'll get the call, from a bigger program, but I think he's fine if he never does. But he's a terrific coach.
Who wins, Montana or Montana State?
I'm leaning Bobcats. Slightly, I think that game's going to be an absolute.
Oh, it's going to.
That might be the best game actually all day.
Well, again, for all you NFL draft junkies out there, I know you'll all watch the quarterback play and at Oregon and JM and all this other stuff tomorrow. But Montana State could very well be
the wild
game.
Part 2, man.
Yep. That's going to be
amazing, Greg.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to really see. First of all, running, right? We talk about throwing the ball a lot because the ball gets thrown a lot, but this is going to be decided by the team that stops the run and the team that can run. That's going to decide this entire game, the run game, 100%. This is not going to be the team that throws the ball the most loses this game almost all the time.
I'm actually stunned because, of course, Montana is the state I was born in. So, to see both those teams, and whichever one wins that game, I think they will win the title. But
they'll at least play for it, right? This is admittedly a sentimental thing, but I think if Illinois State makes it to the title game, they can beat anybody. They've proven that. I agree that the Montana State winner should be favored to win it.
Yeah.
But watch out for Illinois State. Like I hate to use terms like team of destiny and things like that, but there's something special about this Redbird team. They really
after last week, after knocking off that number 1 seed, do they have enough to keep going in the same direction? That's my only question, right? Because, again, we just knocked off NDSU. We beat up NDSU. That was a huge, huge day for them.
Yep.
Do they have the same mentality again? Right?
I think they're still being disrespected, so I'm going to say yes.
Well,
I think they still feel like people don't believe in them yet, which is crazy. But it's funny.
You've got a new believer in me, but
yeah, right. We had Zach McKinnell on a couple of weeks ago to talk about the FCS playoffs, and it's funny that was not my upset pick. I wish I had been. I was looking at Tarleton State, but I truly believe that the way Illinois State is constructed as a team, they can hang with absolutely any. I mean, obviously, showing they can hang with absolutely anybody. There's nobody.
Villanova's a tough bunch as well.
Villanova is really good, and that's why if they survive, I mean, that's still an if. But Villanova is still. That's another team that can do everything. Like they can throw the ball, they can run the ball, they can stop the run, they can defend the pass. They've got at least 3 legit NFL pro prospects on that team.
Yep.
That will hang, that will stick. Like not just be in a camp. They have at least 3 guys who will play in the NFL for years. And they've got another 3 to 5 guys who will be in a camp somewhere. So this is a legit team. Like they are legit. They're trouble. Like I said, if Illinois State survives yet another, game like where people, aren't fully. I see why people aren't fully sold on them. I get that, but they are, especially on defense. They can hang with like their defense is really good, good, and they've got a couple of guys on defense that will play in the NFL. My only question is can their offense sustain drives? If they sustain drives,
that's right.
That's a handful. Handful of sustained drives. 4 or 5 sustained drives mean that they have a very good shot of winning that game. Yep. If it's just 3 and out, get a field goal, 3 and out, get another field goal, and they get 9 to 12 points via field goal, then they lose that game by.
So you'll be watching the Illinois State Villanova game because it's on the same time as the JMU Oregon game.
I know, which is unfair. Somebody fix that for next year. Maybe move one of those games to Friday. I don't know. Figure it out. Thursday even. I don't know. But either way, yes, I'll be taping one and watch the other, or watch on the one on the laptop and one on the TV. I'll figure it out. I always do.
Yeah. Well, my laptop will be busy because again, at 2:00 it's the Montana State game. That the Tulane Ole Miss game is at 1:30 my time, and Miami Texas A&M of course starts 10 a.m. right. So.
Yeah. Right. That's an eye opener. Yeah, it is a literal eye opener.
It'll be a busy day tomorrow.
Very, very busy day. For me, like I said before, that game is all decided by that team that is consistently getting 4.5 yards a carry, basically.
Yep.
The team that averages 4.5 yards a rush wins that game. The team that averages 3.5 yards a rush loses that game. Like, are you avoiding ever having to be in 3rd and long? The team that avoids being in 3rd and long is going to win that game. The team that runs the ball dominantly wins that game, period. Pretty much every year, that's the deciding factor. It'll be that again this year.
And that is real football. It's not this spread nonsense garbage with a quarterback in the shotgun position and all, and the running back right beside him. No.
Now we've seen that teams can run. You can run power run even from spread, even from shotgun. I don't recommend it, but we've seen it done. And for pistol, obviously,
it's very rare to see it succeed, though. I mean, it just is so rare. You need that running back in behind the quarterback. You hand the ball off to him instead of off to the side. You put it into his belly, and away he goes. That's how you play football. That's.
Well, shout out to Chris Alt and that bunch that sort of built that pistol run powerhouse at Nevada for a little while. It can be done, but you have to really have a special offensive line and approach to blocking to get that done. And he built that around old Veer style blocking. But if we do a full on X's and O's show, I'd love to. There's some. Chris Klonikas, their offensive line coach, has a great video series out there if you want to see how they taught it. But this is not the show for that. So at some point, if we get into that, we can bust that stuff out.
We might do that. We might do that in Draft Central time because I would really like to teach everybody how to look at the offensive line, what is good and what is bad.
Yes, and in the case of Caden Proctor, you can find plenty of both.
Both very, 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 very bad, very, very bad pass blocking. Okay. But his run blocking is
right.
His
run
exactly.
blocking is right. He giveth and he taketh away, is what I've noticed. I would not touch him as early as I've seen some people project him going. I feel like he's just a project, but he is very talented.
But again, the run game is becoming more important now than the passing game it was in the NFL, and that makes me happy because it means returning back to seeing a free safety and a box safety. You have traditional linebackers being brought back in instead of just the two guys. I hate this. I hate that. Oh, it drives me off the deep end. I want to see a Sam linebacker.
You don't see the Mac and Jack and that kind of stuff.
You bet. You bet. It drives me off the deep end just to see a Mike and a Will linebacker.
Or just Mike and the Will, or Mac and the Jack, or whatever. Yeah, there's different. Yeah, here's what I will say about the two backer system. The strength of it, obviously, is that you have that extra coverage defender who, his job is to just take away the slot. And with the Jackson Smith and Jigbas of the world, and the Emeka Ibukas of the world, and Cooper Kupp is still alive, but he's not dominant anymore. But those more and more teams are taking their best receiver, their Justin Jefferson, and putting him in the slot and exploiting, especially if you do get certain matchups, exploiting that guy all day long.
Yeah.
And so the ability to find that special coverage player, that one who can take away that two-way go, because that's the thing people forget, is that generally speaking, if you're just defending outside, you're defending the X or the Y, you're usually defending just one direction. You're either using outside leverage trying to force that guy back this way, or using inside leverage to force that guy to the boundary. You're rarely having to go in both directions.
That's right. Yeah.
The slot guy, whoever's covering that, especially against the high-level slot receivers, the best slot receivers or the best receivers playing in the slot, whether they're true slot receivers or not, that's a true two-way go. That guy can go either way. And if you are not quick enough to make that adjustment, they're just going to come back to that matchup all day long. That guy's going to have 19 matches.
I still want the defenders to be able to knock these guys right on their butt, right off the line like we used to. That was heaven. You just knocked the guy down. That was it. He was gone. What was wrong with that? There was nothing wrong with that. That is football. But somewhere Mel Blount is smiling. But yes.
Well,
right,
that was.
But again, I played safety. You played safety. Yes. What did we do? We knocked down that guy. And it was usually your Sam linebacker who was going after that guy, and he would smoke him. Okay, right. You're done. That's how football needs to come back to. I don't care.
Yeah. Well, here's what I will say. And you and I both know this. Every rule change of the past 50 years has been to increase scoring, make it easier to play quarterback, and easier to play wide receiver, and harder to play defense. Period. That's what has happened. Yeah. And I would love to see at least a little balance. I don't hate offense, but I'd love to see a little balance. So if you're going to take all this away, hey, extend the legal contact, make it 10 yards. Right, do something.
Yeah,
give us a little something.
A little.
I'm not asking
the 5 yard. Instead of the 5, and I'm even willing to say to go to 2 yards downfield for the offensive lineman. Okay, it's in the NFL. It's only 1 yard, right? The college game is 3 yards.
Yeah.
Well, I'll go right in the middle. I'll give you 2 yards.
I'll do that. Yeah.
But you let us hit these guys. What we can't touch these guys. It's stupid.
It makes playing defensive back darn near impossible, and that's what they've done. They've said to you, we want you to have almost no opportunity to affect the game, and except interceptions. Right? We've taken away the enforcer over the middle. You can't be Jack Tatum. You can't be, Steve. With the Denver Broncos, number 45.
Atwater.
You can't be Steve Atwater. You cannot. You cannot take that away.
You cannot play.
You can't be Chuck Cecil.
You can't play Darren Woodson football anymore.
No, we've said no to that. We don't want you. I mean, even Ed Reed, Troy Polamalu, we said no. We don't want that.
Yeah.
We do not. We do not. That's not what we like.
These guys are, except of course for Mr. Woodson, all in the NFL Hall of Fame kids. But we can't play that way anymore. It's so stupid.
Yeah. So now they've turned almost everyone into corners, basically.
Yeah.
They're just different sized corners. Is what they're basically saying. You're playing smaller corners.
Which drives me off the deep end. I want a box safety who attacks the running game, and I want a
Right.
free safety who acts as the corner, like they should.
Right.
That's
that's
how football should be played.
Right. And that's the issue now with the game being, as you said, so spread out, with the game being so that the game with there's only one team in the NFL that is even close to 50% run pass. One. We're at one. Everyone else is above 56 is 56% or above pass over run. You
Yeah.
have one team that's close to that sort of almost perfect balance. And that, I think, does two things. One is it puts more hits on your quarterback, even with all the protections, and they have all the protections that you can have. But by making the quarterback drop back 40 plus times a game, just the math means that at some point he's going to take a hard shot. That's just math.
And that's just it sitting in the pocket. If you let these guys run the way that they're running, a la Jackson Dart, he's going to take another hit and he's going to get another concussion. There he goes yet again. Or Jaden Daniels, right? Who, again, what did I say when Jaden Daniels was coming out? He needs to learn how to get out of bounds. He needs to learn how to slide. Does he? Did he? No. You guys, Jackson Dart.
And 12 pounds of muscle. Also, probably not hurt, but yeah.
I mean, but Jackson Dart, yes, you can play quarterback. You can be a decent NFL quarterback, but you had better learn how to get your butt down on that field.
He's got some Baker Mayfield to him in both the good and the bad ways. He thinks he can challenge linebackers in the open field, and
or even the safeties. And these guys who are playing safety, Kyle Hamilton.
Yeah,
Kyle Hamilton ever hits you, son, you're going down for the day. You're gone.
And
these
so
guys
it goes
are
back to
paid. What people don't understand is that defenders, we still get paid. We're making our living off of this, and our living requires us to knock your butt. And again, when Patrick Mahomes went down with the injury, that was horrible. But again, at least there were people hitting the man on the field, because everybody was letting this guy keep going down the sideline. I'm going, you knock that man off the damn field. You hit him. He is a target. That's it.
Yeah, and that goes back to the old, there are old soldiers and there are bold soldiers. There are very few old, bold soldiers. I love dual threat running, quarterbacks, guys that can give you things in the run game, but you have to be smart. And when I look at, say, Russell Carrington Wilson, a guy who managed his body smartly, right?
Yeah.
He was even when he was younger, he did a really good job of minimizing the number of hits he took. And you mentioned Dart, right? That was, even in college, that was the issue for him.
Yeah.
He ends up losing the job to Keenan Slovis because he gets hurt.
Yeah.
If he stays healthy in his days at USC, he probably holds on to the starting job at USC and maybe never even transfers. But he gets hurt. Keenan Slovis, a guy who not as talented, but knew how to avoid ever getting touched, basically, for the most part. Didn't venture outside the pocket almost ever. Ends up, at least temporarily holding on to the job at USC. And both those guys are even in the discussion because JT Daniels had gotten hurt, right?
Yeah.
And then he never ends up becoming, shout out to Donovan James, who talked about him in Elite 11 years ago to me. Never ends up really becoming anything.
Nope.
At Georgia, gets hurt again, plays a little bit at Rice. I think finishes up at Pitt.
Yeah, he was at Pitt.
Of all places. And just never, I think he's a graduate assistant now.
Yeah.
But it is incumbent upon defenders to let quarterbacks know once they leave the pocket, all those protections do not travel with you.
If you are in the field, if you are in that field, you're not out of bounds. I'm going to put you out of bounds. That's the bottom line of all this. And again, I don't wish anybody to get injured.
Correct.
Period. So seeing Mahomes get the ACL and the LCL injury is horrible. Just as it is with that guy, Michael, Michael Parsons. Yeah, as JJ
Yeah,
calls him now, Michael. Right. Seeing him go down, those are horrible injuries. I don't like any of
Yep.
them. Period.
Right.
You know. But again, the game of football, you get hurt. That's the bottom line.
It happens.
You know.
It is if you play long enough, it's 100% injury rate. That is
That's
correct.
right. That's right. You know. But hey,
Yep.
so tomorrow night
Yes,
we will be back.
we will.
Um,
Looking forward to it.
You betcha. And we'll see what happens, and then we'll have because we already know Alabama is going to lose to Indiana. I'm sorry, Crimson Tide, you are going down because this Indiana team is just too good. They are too good. And we'll see what the other games will be.
Yeah, we.
Boy, I would love to see Texas Tech go against A&M. Would that ever be heavenly?
That would be so much defensive talent all in one.
That would be absolute heaven. But again, it doesn't line up that way, unfortunately.
Yep. Well, like I said, I'm excited about all the games, including some of the FCS playoff games that'll be coming up as well. It's going to be a great day to be a football fan.
Yes, my laptop will be working overtime at 2 o'clock. Yours is at 5:30. So, you know.
Yes, sir.
Well, my time, 6:30 your time.
Yes, 100%.
But again, after the Oregon game tomorrow, we will be back, and we'll discuss those three games, as well as we'll look ahead to the next round.
Yep. Yeah.
And,
in fact, if you're available after the holidays, Matt and I are going to break down that next round and the FCS championship game preview. Shout out to Harding, and shout out, of course, to the favorites, Ferris State, where, of course, Trinidad Chambliss started his collegiate career, who will play for the Division II National Championship. It's impossible to pick against Ferris State, but Harding, I think, will give them a very good run for their money.
Well, yeah. I'm a huge Ferris State fan, so.
Yeah, well, I think everybody's picking Ferris State. I think everybody will be right. I think Ferris State will prevail. I think Harding will keep it very close, though.
Yeah. That's where the Wolverines need to go to, is a school like Ferris State or Western Michigan to find their next coach. They don't need somebody from the outside. They need somebody who understands what Michigan football really means, which means you are a student first, you're an athlete second, which I always, you know how much I despise that school up north. But I've always said they make it done the right way. You are a student athlete.
And that's why I brought up the name of David Shaw earlier, right?
Yeah.
Is that he's a guy who has strong NFL. In fact, he's in the NFL right now, but strong NFL coaching background, but also was successful for many years at Stanford, where, you know, academics are first, second, and third.
Right.
And then athletics. I mean, it's your social life and athletics, you know, are maybe round out the top five, but it's academics 1 through 3. So, and of course, not a whiff of scandal around him, obviously, ever at any point in his career. So I think that's also something that would help. I might also, you know, just make sure that Chris Peterson's fully retired. You know, make sure he's really done with coaching. I might
because again, the mess that you've seen out of the past 2 head coaches there, you know what I would do if I was running the NCAA. They would get the SMU treatment right now. You're gone. I don't care who you think you are. You guys would be gone. Gone.
Right.
And of course, in this day and age, we couldn't do that, though. No. Well, guess what? SMU was a mild case of the stuff that has gone on with that school up north. That was mild. So, anyhow, Bill, we'll see you tomorrow night.
See you tomorrow night.
And everybody take care and have a good one.
Have a good one. Take care.